still some criteria that I want to make sure and clear up. But these are two that we could consider. On my end, question was, well, for myself, is like, well, what would the council think as far as budgeting the $657,000 for professional services? And all I'm trying to get here, council, is a point to where we thought about this, we planned it out, you have projects that we can move on. And that what I mean by that is and I referenced it I think once or twice here, is you have shovel-ready projects where you already know the projects that you're going to do, you have a design for them, and they're ready to go to do whatever it is we're going to do. You have, right now as a council is aware, you have one project that's currently a shovel-ready, or what the agencies would consider to be shovel-ready, and that project is a 1581 drainage project. We have a design for that. There's any other projects that I don't know of any other projects that have design. I think that's the only one that you have a design on, don't have any construction. And the holdup with that one, and what we're looking at is hoping to get the master drainage study done. Once that is done, then we can look to see how we could fit that in with the projects that we have coming up. Hopefully, it's a couple of things we've talked about is our water plants, an emergency generator. We've talked about design for a new water well, a design for an elevated ground storage tank, and the design for, we haven't talked about that, the elevated ground storage tank, and the design for one or more drainage projects. So what I'm getting at is, and where I'm trying to go with this and recommend to the council is, again, be prepared. Whenever these dollars come out, more dollars, and I'm talking on top of what you currently have, we have right now, what I'm suggesting is we need to be ready. Be ready and say, hey, we're ready to go with projects. We met with our engineering firm on the master drainage study, I can't remember, a week or two ago, and I think one of their messages, what their understanding is, projects that get funded are shovel-ready projects. Now, we don't know that for a fact because the federal government hasn't come up with criteria. But as we start doing this stuff, that's what I'm suggesting to the council is making sure that we have our projects ready, we have them done. And I think this money can help with that. I would like to see if all this works out for us to do some design work this coming year. We'd begin some construction at the latter part of 2022. We'd do more construction work in 2023. The entities as far as funding and how we would fund them would go through, we'd probably use the Water Development Board, USDA, and other grant opportunities. I think the grant opportunities, again, I don't know this for a fact yet, but I think there's going to be grants coming out that are going to be low-hanging fruit. It'll be competitive, but it won't be as competitive as they traditionally are because of that very last little thing I put down there. I anticipate the $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan to come through. I anticipate that to happen in the next year or two. And if it does, it's a lot of money for infrastructure that, again, projects that are ready, we're going to qualify for. And what I mean by that, you're qualifying in the form of 0% on loans, loan forgiveness, grants, and that's what I hope to accomplish. I think
Where's that 1.2 from?
$1.2 trillion. It's the legislature, the federal government right now. The Senate currently has the bill, and that would come from the federal government, and it basically is money that's going to go to infrastructure projects. So my hope is that the council, at the very least, again, you prepare projects, and whether you do them 2022, 2023. The goal, at least for me, is to say we have them ready to go, and let's get something done. But I would like for the council to also say, look, the money has to be used wisely, and this is never going to happen in our lifetime again. I don't think the federal government is going to just say, here's some money. I think this will be the last time that we see something like that. It's a lot of money for us, at least for all of us. And I think every municipality, every county is like, well, we have the money now, what do we do with it? And I'm not 100% sure that this is, the council wants to agree with 100% of this. I'm sure there's going to be some points of discussion. But at the very least, I would like for the council to consider, you know, again, moving forward with design work so we can be ready. I think holding on to money, not doing anything is probably not the right thing to do. The way I estimated the construction, the estimates there, between $10 and $12 million. Normally, your engineering fees are about 10% of your project cost. So, so if we do $1 million to $1.2 million in design work, I'm suggesting that you probably will have about $10 to $12 million in projects that you could consider being ready. But again, that's my suggestion to the council. I know it's a big decision. It's a lot of money, and I don't have all the answers. But I think it's something the council to consider. And by all means, if any of y'all want to go to any of these little sessions with me, you're welcome to go. I think I have one scheduled, one or two. But at least as far as the uses, I don't want to go and use the money for something and then let's get in trouble for the way we use it. So even with that, I'm a little leery of every time people says here's the money and use it however you want. I kind of have a little hesitation there because I'm not sure that's the case. But anyway, any questions on any?
Anybody have a question?
I don't have anything.
I have a question. So you're proposing that we use the bulk of the money for scoping projects out?
I think you should use them for design. I think you should do it for design and get them ready for construction. As you know, the design takes you anywhere from 6 to 9 months for most projects. And so, again, by that time, if you decide to say this coming fiscal year, say in October, you decide to go to design on some projects, we're talking we won't have them ready for construction probably until probably March, April maybe.
So what's the plan to fund?
The design is,
Or projects?
yeah, the design is will be funded with this cash,
Yeah,
but
I
the actual
understand.
projects, yeah,
What would be our plan as a city to?
yeah, you would fund them.
projects?
You would fund them where, here's what I mentioned, is you would have them funding through grants, 0% loans. You are gonna have to issue debt at some point. Now, my opinion is, again, because I don't know if everything we'll qualify for, my opinion is that we're gonna have some opportunities, again, at the very least to borrow cheap money. The other thing that we're looking at, and I think we're finally getting there, is issuing that, I think at least your two big projects, I was looking at them today, the two debt issuances we had in 2016 and 2012 were all issued on a 15-year note. So we issued, those will be paid off, I believe your 2020 debt will be paid off in 2027, and your 2016 will be paid off in 2031. So I'm pretty close as far as the timeframes. But yes, the issuance of debt and/or grants would be in my opinion, I think this is probably the best time to do this. Because again, I don't see.
I understand that, but what plan financially,
Mhm.
what financial strategy can we, the city of Pearsall, invoke to make this happen? I hate for us to get plans in place and all that, and then
No,
10 years down the road, we're still in the same place.
No, I'm gonna come with a financial advisor, and I'm gonna give you, this is how we're gonna finance it. Here's a recommendation. Here's a recommendation for financing. Again, we'd have to look for the programs that are out there. Most of these programs are gonna be 30-year notes, one. And two is we're looking for cheap money. We're not looking for, so those things I can only tell you that, that's what we're gonna look for. I can't truly give you a financing plan because I haven't gone and talked to the financial advisors, so I can't give you that right now. But again, from my end, I don't see, if you postpone, again, the other side is, well, postpone, let's wait, and let's figure out what we're gonna do. I think if that happens, it may very well, I think you'll find yourself behind other communities that have already connected and already have projects that are ready to go.
Mayor, Tim, I have a comment on that. I didn't have anything until you started talking about this. So the projects that you're looking at, maybe if you give us something more or less what kind of project we're looking at? Meaning like a project for a new service center?
For the well.
No, these are all, again, discussions we've had. I think we've discussed.
Yeah,
it.
so what are you looking at? Like getting a new service
No, no,
center, getting
yeah.
water wells up and running?
I'll give you a rough estimate of what I'm looking at. You have about a $3 million project for the Business 35 project. Business 35, it's water and wastewater, that's $3 million. If you look at adding another elevated tank, ground storage tank, and we can get into more discussions on this, and you're looking at adding another water well, you're talking an additional $2.5 million. And again, I'm giving you estimates, I'm not an engineer, I can't tell you these are the true costs, but I'm giving you
No, I
estimates.
think more or less, if we know what kind of projects we're looking at, then when we talk at the budget workshop, we can actually address those, because those will be in our budget, and then we can go
Yep.
from there.
You don't, on that end, again, those are the projects when we're talking about these types of projects. So I've given you 2 projects so far, and they've totaled over $5 million. Just the 2 projects. Really 3, I guess, if you count to separate the ground storage tank, the elevated tanks. So you have those projects. We have another project of a replacement of a huge, I think it's 10-inch water line. That one time was, I want to say it was over $1 million. So you have some other projects that are down. I know we've talked about the generators. And I know there's other projects that we've talked about doing. But I can assure you, you have at least $10 million of projects. Drainage projects. The 1581 drainage project was, I think at the last time was that minimum bid was about $700,000. So there's plenty of drainage projects that are also gonna be on the horizon. So if those are just a few of the numbers that I can think of off the top of my head, and I'm sure that there's definitely more.
Okay, I have one quick question. When we did the utility rate studies,
Mhm.
there was a lot of discussion, a lot of talk about, raising utility rates and how we were gonna do this over the next 5 years, right? And that was supposed to generate some revenue to be able to afford some things.
Mhm.
That's what I'd like to hear about as well. I mean, because I noticed here under the sales revenue on the utility fund, we had budgeted $5,300,000 last year, and we're budgeting $5 million for this coming year. So our utilities are not trying to go up, or the plan was for utilities to go up a little bit every year.
Yeah, and they go up. It's if you look at the grant, correct me if I'm wrong, Santos, it's a little over $25,000 a year that the total revenue would go up. So it's not going up considerably. It's going up just to be honest with you, keep up with operations and add a little bit to your fund balance. But we do have some other expenses, and I wanted to, on that end, remind the council, there's one particular one, was the elevated, the storage tanks, the ground storage tanks. That particular cost was not included as part of the rate study last year. That was work that we had to get done, the council remembers. So that's an additional cost that we have to also consider. So yeah, there are costs in there that they're not included as part of that study, but we can come back and share that, additional information with council as it relates to fees and utility rates, because those are coming. I mean, if stand to look at this, and I've looked at the debt structure, I've looked at a little more closer this past week to see how we're doing. But it is a bit striking that a lot of our notes are 15-year notes. But it is what it is, and we just have to work.
What was that?
They're 15-year notes. Most notes are 30-year notes. We decided to pay them in 15 years. I don't know.
They're privately funded.
They're privately funded, and we didn't use any entities that I'm recommending. I think we've used the USDA. USDA was in 2012, was it not? But yeah, they're.
When our financial advisors bring these things to us,
Yeah.
they should be telling us.
Well, again,
the
they should.
pros and cons between 15 and 30 years, is that correct?
It should be a combination of your financial advisors, your administration, whoever it is that's seeking the dollars for you, Normally, it's the engineering firms that know about some of this cheap money, along with your engineering firm. They should know, you know, where the cheap funding sources are, not just private banks. Again, I'm not trying to, yeah, I'm just saying that normally the administration should know, your engineer should have a pretty good idea. Financial advisors could say, hey, yeah, you want to use this group of Water Development Board, we can give you, and work with you on the financing. But they should all kind of have, you know, play a part in it, yes. Anything else for me?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Good evening.
That's all I have. Council. Go ahead.
Anybody else have anything?
No, sir.
I would like to see, you know, because we talked about, this a little bit, about 2 weeks ago, yes, put money in our pockets so we can borrow money.
Hmm?
Okay, I would like to see a financial strategy to put that into play.
Right.
What do we need to be doing, financially, so that we can be able to go out and seek loans? You know,
The goal of some of that, the other half of the $650,000 is to do that, is to set aside some for fund balance. Again, I don't know, the challenge for us, council member, is that I don't know with, like we did with this year, I don't know that the surge is not gonna affect our economy. I don't, so part of what, my assumption is that part of what the legislature was thinking is you may have other issues, so we're gonna give you this money to help maybe address some of your shortfalls, which is part of the use of the dollars.
I think they're using this money because they know a second hit's coming.
And we don't know on
And
that.
we took a big hit this last year.
And I think on that end, what you may say is, again, not only that, you know, are you gonna see the surge, but how long does it take for you to recover from that, you know, the economy to recover from that surge of people, you know, being out with COVID or being just frightened to travel, whatever the case may be. You know, anything that affects the economy is gonna affect us all. So I think they look at that. Again, I can't say what the legislature was thinking, but that's my assumption is those dollars are being set aside. Hopefully, things don't get bad, but if they do, those dollars are there. And our hope is that we don't have to expend those dollars and use them for fund balance.
Council, have any questions? Again, I would just like to see what the overall picture looks like,
Hmm?
you know, so that we can all understand as council members, if we do this, this is what we're looking at down the road. If we don't do this, this is what could happen or not happen. If we plan this way, maybe we can get ahead by doing such and such. So we've got to understand those kinds of things, because that gives us to make decisions and not knowing, what we're doing.
Good, exactly. I understand. Yes, sir.
And it's not a lot of money, it is a lot of money in our terms, but it's not a lot of money really. So,
I understand.
okay. Anybody else have anything?
Motion to adjourn.
Appreciate you all coming out to the meeting, thank you all for your presentations.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, no, but it did look familiar, and
What got me
I
was
did
the
have it.
baby flipping. I was like,
Well, I wasn't helping either. You told me, it's not in my packet here.
hey, I did want to read it.
I was like, oh my god, I forgot it in his packet for real. And then he pulls it out, and I was like,
Well, no,
Hector, he made him separate.
oye, hablando del packet, is that the early drop kids in the package out there at 10 o'clock in the evening? And the reader said about 10 o'clock in the evening.
On call, he was doing stuff.
Oh.
That's because he asked me to do it the next day, and I told him no.
I was in Seguin that night, and anyway, what we got back is my wife's.
How's it going?
I got in about midnight, you know, and my wife said that she got startled. And because, I mean, it was a little after 10, and the guy went, really
Oh my
loud.
God, like he was the purple. Oh, Lord.
Y like, pues, they would say, who is it?
You
They
know,
wouldn't answer. And I guess what he did, just left it there and then walked away.
yeah.
And then she saw that it was, heard the truck drive off. So I didn't know if I should open it because of, bad people.
Yeah, exactly.
And they drove it and maybe the guy's still standing there. And, the packet was right there at the door. And he was a city truck.
He was wanting to go the next day. He was like, "I don't know, morning." He's like, "Stuck to